Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another edition of Transcendent. Transcendent is the Facebook Live broadcast of San Antonio in black, white, and brown. SABWB. What is SABWB? It is a leadership space where influencers from every race, position, and perspective come together for the achievement of two things primarily. One is to build trust with one another, and secondly, it is to collaborate, to work together both on the value and the implementation of principles that shape the culture. Did you note the last three words? Shape the culture. Someone is already shaping the culture. Somebody's ideology is being pushed, someone's philosophy is being adopted, and thereby the culture is being shaped. But it ought to be shaped by those who understand the value of universal truth and principle found in the pages of God's word unapologetically, and those who are willing to reach across the aisle, if you will, the denominational aisle, and work together to see the purposes of God come to pass in our city, and to create an environment in our city that's wholesome and healthy for all citizens of San Antonio. If you're interested in helping to shape the culture of San Antonio, then we invite your partnership. You can do that for as little as $10 a month by going to our website at sabwb.org. Follow a few simple prompts as you see on the screen right now, and you will not only become a monthly partner, but you'll have access to the backside of our website, where we do some leadership training and and film some activities and put them back there that's exclusive for our partners. Thank you for doing that for as little, again, as $10 a month. We believe in the power of the small donation. When a lot of people participate as a small donor base, we can get a lot done in the kingdom of God. So if you're already a partner, which I know that many of you are, and we appreciate that, continue to spread that partnership around the city of San Antonio, because the more we do, the more we can do to continue to shape the culture of our city. And while we're asking you for partnership, we want to get in on the giving as well. We love to give. We love to give. And so we have some gift packages for you. You see it on the screen right there. I'm going to go through a couple of them with you. Also, this is a koozie. This is helps you keep your cold drink cold and without you getting your hands wet. And there's a little space there for it won't wet the top of your desk either. And it has SABWB embossed on it. As a reminder and as a conversation starter. Somebody will invariably ask you, what is SABWB? And you can tell them. We're a leadership space that's working together, all races, around the central principles that shape the culture in our city. And we're learning to trust each other, too. We're learning to play well in the sandbox, so to speak. In addition to that koozie, you will also have a coffee cup. You see that there. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But, leaders are readers. So we want to give you two books to read. Leaders are readers. Here's the two books that I want to give you. Heaven on Earth and The Kingdom at War. Both of these books were written by the late, great Alan Vincent, who God sent into our city, both he and his wife Eileen, and they poured their gift and anointing into the city of San Antonio. Actually, Alan committed his life to it. He's buried right here in the city of San Antonio. His wife has since returned back to England, but their lives have been used literally, with no hyperbole and no exaggeration, to shape nations. And these books that you'll be reading from, this one particularly is kind of a chronologue of what happened, how God used them, took them from one stage of obedience to the next. You remember the Romans says that for therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, that they exercised faith. God gave them wisdom to take the next step, Now there's over 5,000 churches established out of the movement that God gave them to begin in central India. Incredible. If that kind of impact is on that life, then there's something valuable that he has to say. And he's put it down in several books, but in these two particularly is what we're offering you as a gift, Heaven on Earth. And this one, The Kingdom at War. Now, this will become super real to you and me because the kingdom is at war. We're seeing and are able to see the kind of conflict. I want to read a quick paragraph out of here to you. Then we're going to go to commercial, and I'm going to introduce you to a friend here in the city that is helping to shape the culture of our city. So this little portion that I want to read to you deals with, it's in The Kingdom at War, the book that is a part of your gift package as you become a partner with SABWB. I want to just read a quick portion. I've watched the growth of the charismatic movement over a number of decades. In 1925, there were about 7 million Spirit-filled believers worldwide, mainly in traditional Pentecostal churches. This growth sprang out of the revivals at the beginning of the 20th century. Some amazing statistics are being published that should hearten everyone who is watching church growth. The World Christian Encyclopedia estimates the number of Pentecostal/charismatic Christians. And by the way, just as a side note, because my friend who's on here tonight is of Catholic origin, there is a Catholic priest, Father Montague, whom I met just a couple of weeks ago, who is probably responsible for the baptism of the Holy Spirit with more people than most who are alive today. Just an incredible man. I had a chance to meet him. He's in his 90s. I was in a meeting with him just a few weeks ago. But in 1900, there was 981,000 charismatic Christians. 1970, 72 million. 1990, 425 million. In the year 2000, 524 million. By 2025, estimated 812 million. By 2050, 1,066 million. Now, all these so-called Spirit-filled charismatic believers ought to be shaping the culture, Allen points out. But he goes on to say, instead of that, in Western countries, the cities particularly seem to be getting much worse. So he asked the Lord, what is the problem? Why haven't we made the impact in cities that we're not changing our society? In fact, everything seems to be getting worse. And he said, the Lord said to him, the reason because you're building the wrong kind of churches. What you're doing is spiritually building little local churches, individual autonomous village churches that have no power to enter the heavens and change the environment over cities. Therefore, they cannot rule nations. You must concentrate, as David and the early church did, David, the king of Israel, on building city churches. You see, in the eyesight of God, there's only one church globally, but there's only one church in a given area. And when we come together, as we're beginning to do, and there's nothing that can bring people together like the threat of hostility against us all. It happened in 2013. We came together, wandered back into our corners. It's happening again, and we're coming together again. My guest is going to be telling us something about one such convening coming together this coming Monday. But all of that information is in this book, The Kingdom at War. It's a part of your gift package. So you have your koozie, you have your 2 books, and I told you I was going to save this one to the end because this is a coffee cup. And the producer is going to put up some photos now that we took when we were in the nation of Malawi at the end of last year, from December 15th to the 27th. See those long strings of beans there? Those are coffee beans. They are organic premium coffee beans that we are working together with over 700 farmers in Malawi to start bringing that product to these shores. Not only in Malawi are we working, we're also working in the nation of Rwanda. And in Rwanda, you'll see in a moment as we go to commercial that that the second harvest is already underway for coffee beans in Rwanda with a cup taste in the mid-90s. That means that this is A-grade organic premium coffee. And I'm excited to announce something that I will iterate at the end of this commercial, where I'm standing in the coffee fields of Rwanda getting ready to celebrate the second harvest. Take a look at this commercial and I'll be right back. All right, I'm here in Rwanda, and we're up in the coffee farms right now. So I've been telling you about the upcoming Be Easy Coffee organic uh, premium coffee. And these are beans that I have in my hand. These are brand new beans. There's already a harvest already in place. These are just the early parts of the second harvest. And these beds that you see that are now empty will be full of organic premium coffee beans. And you have an opportunity to get a bag of Be Easy coffee for yourself. And we're going to work, of course, as I said before, on the San Antonio blend for SABWB. You'll be able to get your coffee mug and sip premium organic coffee. I told you it was coming, and it's on the way. Okay. So we're glad it's on the way. And here's the update. It has actually left the dock in Africa. The nation of Rwanda is landlocked, so it's off of Mozambique. But it's left there, and it will be here Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday of next week. After it arrives, we will go through the process of getting it brewed and packaged, and pretty soon in this cup you and I will be drinking, sipping on Be Easy coffee. We're actually going to do a program also around what all of that does to lift farmers halfway around the world, while you also support SABWB with every bag that you purchase. So we're thankful for that development underway, and we will keep you posted, of course, on when you can get your premium organic coffee. Okay, so right now I want to introduce you to a friend. There's something going on in the city of San Antonio that needs the attention of people across the board, across racial lines, across geographic lines, across political lines. There's something happening in the city of San Antonio that needs our united attention. And one of the persons that's leading groups to help address that is my guest tonight. His name is Patrick Von Dolen. Patrick, I didn't tell you, but I didn't know until about a couple of years ago that your father was also involved in the political world, and I saw him in Austin. I was doing some things there with school choice, and someone pointed him out to me, and I said hello, and we have a mutual friend in San Antonio, your son, and his face lit up. So I'm really grateful that you are carrying on a legacy of something that has started with your family to help change the culture of San Antonio. Welcome to Transcendent tonight, Patrick. We're glad you're with us.
Thank you, Bishop Charles. And it's great to be here. I'm glad you got to run into my dad at the state capitol. He was the state rep for 14 years or 7 terms, and did a lot of good there. He led the pro-life battle there and actually debated Sarah Weddington on the House floor in 1973 to keep Texas abortion free. Won the vote in the House, lost the vote in the Senate, but he's been fighting the good fight ever since then, and he's working on a couple pro-life pieces of legislation right now. One to protect medical students from being forced to go through an abortion rotation, and the other is for a monument to be put on the state grounds to recognize the beauty of motherhood. Well, so I'm glad. I don't know if did he claim me?
Yes, he did.
Okay, good.
He certainly did claim you. So that apple evidently didn't fall very far from the tree, because you're also busy with the assignment that God has given you. Tell us about Responsible Government Coalition and what's going on with that, particularly in light of Proposition A. We know that Prop A is an endangerment to the welfare of the culture of San Antonio, because we have seen how such propositions have trashed the city of Austin, Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, Chicago, and you can just keep them in Baltimore,
San Francisco, yes.
Cities. And the same framers are seeking to do to take San Antonio in that same direction. Tell us about RGC and what your position is on Prop A and what you want people to do.
Well, you talk about framers. What a contrast between these people proposing Proposition A and our framers of our Constitution in our country.
Hmm.
What a contrast in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that we are seeing in the
Hmm.
degradation of society. So thank you very much for this opportunity. The Responsible Government Coalition came about, as you might remember, in 2012, and we banded together after the 2012 budget was passed by the city of San Antonio on September 15th, 2011. And it included three things that included Twisted Arts funding,
Hmm.
unplanned pregnancy services, and the first official act by the city of San Antonio to undermine marriage between a man and a woman under implementing domestic partner benefits
Hmm.
for city employees and non-married lifestyle benefits, promoting cohabitation. It was
Yes,
an
I remember
official
all
act
of that. Yes.
yeah, an official act against marriage, undermining marriage, and we saw the rapid decline of the city of San Antonio and the policy making by the mayor and city council soon thereafter. So we formed the Responsible Government Coalition. You were one of the original founders, coalition members, and we came together to educate people on why the city shouldn't be in the business of pre-K for SA, and that would be better left to churches and private communities to do,
Yes.
and so that we coalesced in fighting that, educating on that, and fighting that, and we raised about $10,000, and the city and its PAC raised over $1 million, and we barely lost that vote. It was 52 to 48%,
Hmm.
and despite that and our good efforts, and so that brought to really the genesis of the Responsible Government Coalition. And ever since then, we've been working together, sometimes better than other times. And we came together in a major way on September 5th, 2013, when the city passed its non-discrimination ordinance,
Yes.
creating special class protections for people based on their lifestyle choices
Hmm.
and sexual orientation, gender identity.
Yes.
And so we've been,
Yes.
as a coalition, we've been working together for a long time, over
Yes.
10 years now, and that friendship, the bonds that have been there have become very strong. And you're one of the people I consider a great friend in the city of San Antonio, and that we can call on each other to help where we can.
Well,
And
let me tell you, Patrick,
it's been a
I'm
privilege.
really thankful for your consistency and for your clarity and for your courage,
Thank you.
because it takes all three to be able to wage successfully against the onslaught. See, when you formed RGC, it was a year later in 2013 when we faced a non-discrimination ordinance that SABWB was actually born. We're ministries that are born to answer problems,
Yeah.
to turn back the evil tide of policies that have been coming through City Hall. And here's one coming again. It's called
Yes.
Prop A. What do you want the folks to know about Prop A?
Well, one thing on Responsible Growth Coalition, I want to also acknowledge Pastor Gerald Ripley. I know you, a good friend of yours,
Yes.
and as well
Yes.
as Joe
He's with
Cadell and
the
Mike
Lord now.
Kanoki.
Yes.
It's sort of in the nucleus of the Responsible Government Coalition. God rest Pastor Ripley's soul, and
Hmm.
he's passed on. But one of the founding chairmen of the Responsible Government Coalition.
Hmm.
So, what the people of San Antonio need to know about Proposition A is that Proposition A was introduced as what's called the so-called justice policy. We call it the unjust justice policy,
Hmm. Hmm.
and because it is not just, and it is the unjust justice policy, and we fought it from getting on the ballot. Wrote an amicus brief. You signed onto it, and
Yes.
thank you very much. And we argued some two technical legal points to the Texas Supreme Court. They agreed with us, but they didn't want to interrupt the political process. And so they fully expect a lawsuit to be filed if it is passed. But I can tell you right now, we don't want to risk that. We want to
Right.
defeat this at the ballot box on the May 6th ballot. And early voting begins on April 24th, this coming Monday. But what people need to know is that, especially people who are God fearing people who believe in God and trust in God, people need to know that according to Exodus chapter 20, where the Ten Commandments is discussed in that point, Proposition A directly violates and breaks four commandments. And I want to go through those real quick if I can. We have a little discussion about it.
Hmm.
The first one is the fifth commandment: "Thou shalt not kill."
Hmm.
And that this Proposition A will seek to decriminalize abortion in the city limits of San Antonio.
Which the city doesn't have authority to do.
Right. That's
It
correct.
cannot defy state and federal law, but the current leadership of the city is seeking, uh, under what they are putting forth as popular demand because of the signatures that they got for this proposition to move forward. They're seeking through popular demand to defy state and federal law.
Yes. And they think that if it passes here in San Antonio, it'll spread to the other 4 or 5 major population areas,
Mhm.
cities, and then they'll surround the state because they know the state legislature controls this issue. But we have an immigration issue here in San Antonio, and I know you probably have discussed this before on your show. And there are illegal abortions taking place with people who are being trafficked, whether being internationally trafficked
Yes.
and they're being trafficked here from another country to here, or domestic trafficking. There are abortions going on. And so police will not be allowed to investigate that if they happen to learn about it. And the
This is under
DAs,
that provision. This is under Prop A
that's
that
correct.
they are putting in what is referred to. You know the official title, but we refer to him as a police czar,
Yeah.
to
The
pull
justice
back
director.
the justice director, to pull back the authority of the police to actually go after those who are breaking the law in that way. This is written into Proposition A so that it defies both state and federal law and creates a haven for abortions here in the city of San Antonio. Moving from the abortion issue on to other things that are included in
Yeah.
Prop A that people need to
So
know about.
the next one would be Proposition A breaks the seventh commandment. The seventh commandment in Exodus is thou shalt not steal.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
theft up to $750 per person per incident. It will enable them to get away with it. They
Mhm.
might cite and release you, but they're not going to arrest you. They're not going to investigate. You might or might not get a citation.
And so here's Patrick. Here's the other side of that, or the extension of that is, once you are cited, that is the city's slap on the hand for
Yeah.
taking $750 of someone else's property. And you think about this: are the police going to roll up with a calculator? How are they going to know what's $750 or more and what is not, without
That's
them
right.
tying themselves up in that kind of minutia to try to determine it? Uh,
And that's a great
and
point. And
and once that 750, once that citation is written, then that's the end of that offense. You can come back the very next night and get another citation for taking another 750. In fact, I could roll in with 9 of my buddies, go to a store and walk out with $7,500 worth of stuff, and none of us are going to jail for it.
right. And there's speculation about whether that is the cost of goods to the business or the retail price. And so if it's the cost of goods to the business owner, that's even more
Right,
merchandise.
because they buy it at wholesale and they sell at retail.
Right.
So
That's
the
correct.
cost of goods to the retailer, $750 could equal a whole lot more retail dollars than that.
And that's per person per incident. So I think you ask any restaurant owner in the city of San Antonio that, or anywhere, they tell you one of the young people's first jobs is working at a restaurant. And if they come out of there, that makes them more susceptible to being attacked.
Hmm.
And if they they're waiting tables and they had a good night, say they're walking out with $300 cash, they can be that money can be taken from them and nothing's going to happen. And
Right,
that's a lot, and that puts a
right.
lot of people in danger, and they become targets. So we always talk about targeting, whether it be trafficking of teens, whether internationally or domestically, and trafficking of people is a major incident. We're talking about increasing trafficking here,
Yes.
and especially by people who happen to hang around these places of business that might be homeless people as well. We're talking about increasing that, incentivizing that population.
What's number three?
So number three would be Proposition A breaks the eighth commandment. Thou shalt not bear false witness, or some people call it lying.
Hmm.
And in bearing false witness in this okay, uh, so in breaking the eighth commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness, or thou shalt not lie. Proposition A allows for people to create their own identification, and it doesn't have to be certified verification, like a driver's license that comes, and you see our driver's license get
Mm,
more and more sophisticated with the
yes.
security measure on it. In this case, you could print up your own business cards and put whatever name. I could be Charles Flowers, and they have to accept my identification according to this, or they can call somebody on the phone to get your identity. So it really enables and permits
Wow.
lying.
What's the last one?
So the fourth commandment that it directly breaks is the 10th commandment, according to Exodus: "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods."
Yeah.
That deals with both theft and vandalism. And so whether it's a church or your own personal property, somebody likes your car or whatever, something in your car, they can steal it, they can vandalize it, and vandalism up to $2,500 per person per incident, and theft up to $750 per person per incident. They can take that or vandalize it without
Vandalism
consequences.
up to $2,500 per person.
That's correct.
Now,
And so that's a
this
lot of
is
damage.
Patrick. This is insane. That no responsible governmental system would push such principles on their citizens and make them vulnerable to that. But this seated civil government here in the city of San Antonio facilitated this to be placed on the ballot, and even their George Soros supported district attorney Joe Gonzalez, even he said it doesn't have a leg to stand on. But they're
Right.
still trying to push that through. There is
Right.
an agenda at work, folks.
And the city attorney, Andy Scovia, admitted to the same as well. However, on the KSAT 12 interview of Mayor Ron Nirenberg, where he did his flip flop and has now come out against Proposition A publicly, I think privately he still supports it. Particularly in the KSAT 12 interview, he alludes to it, that everything for Proposition A that's important to him, he mentioned 3 times, was unfettered access to reproductive health care services. Well, that tells me he wants unfettered access to abortion. And so sadly, we've known that about him. He was involved in a lawsuit we took on the city for favoritism and illegal zoning of Planned Parenthood South Texas new abortion facility at 2140 Babcock in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's been a longtime supporter of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
And we know this about him. So was his predecessor. And so, but to hear him come forward and on a KSAT 12 interview express that publicly really shows the heart. He knows that they can get things done by piecemeal, and he's getting a lot of pressure from the downtown business
He
community.
also knows this, Patrick. He knows that there is such steam building behind Prop A that if his name is still attached to it, that he may go the way of Prop A for a well-informed, active voting base in San Antonio. And I want to close this section with this. San Antonio, things don't just happen. You and I have to be responsible to go to the polls starting Monday and vote. Actually, I don't want to close with this. I want you to close with what's going to happen on Monday at 1:30. Go ahead and tell us about that.
So real quick, the other thing that happens is sin fosters sin, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
Breaking one commandment fosters breaking more commandments. And so in directly breaking the 5th, 7th, 8th, and 10th commandments according to Exodus, it will inevitably lead to and inadvertently lead to breaking the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 9th commandments.
Yeah.
And where we dishonor God, and we're already doing that. We're abusing other people for our own selfish gratification. We're not abiding by and living up to God's law and what's good and healthy for us, so we can have a long life in the land of the living, according to the 4th commandment.
Yeah.
And so we'd be violating all those things. Well, that's not honorable to God, and certainly not honorable to humanity or each individual human. Each person deserves that protection, and that's what we need to do. This vote against Proposition A, which you need to go out, it's 431 words. in the ballot measure language. So it's not a simple ballot measure. It's a very long paragraph, goes over two columns, 431 words on the ballot. So just ignore that, go to vote against, and whether it be English or Spanish version. But on Monday, this coming Monday, we have a historic opportunity for pastors across San Antonio to gather together at City
Yes,
Hall
we do.
at
Yes, we
1:30
do.
p.m. This is Monday, April 24th, the same day as early voting begins. 1:30 p.m. on the east side of City Hall, the steps of brand new renovation that we paid, citizens paid $35 million to renovate City Hall.
Woo.
Enjoy the plaza and nice tree cover. And I know it might be a little warm that day, but we have nice tree cover there. Money well spent on the plaza for us to use as citizens. And we're going to speak there. And Charles, you'll be one of the speakers there to share with people the God fearing, God loving people of San Antonio, why it's so important to come out and be people of goodwill. If we truly believe in being people of goodwill and loving thy neighbor, following the golden rule, we will vote against Proposition A, because that's the only way to help protect those who are most defenseless and need our protection. And steps of City Hall, Monday, April 24th. We did this back in April of 2021. And you might remember where we gathered all the pastors together then against Proposition B, because it was going to defund the police.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
another way to
So
defund the police, but
repackaged. It's the
it
same
is.
idea, repackaged, and it says something about those who are seeking to shape the culture of the city, is that they're willing to piecemeal it, as you say. And if one thing fails, they'll back up, repackage it, sort of even put it together with some other more favorable points that their marketing strategy has said would sell among the population, and then reissue the same thing again. But let's do what we did back in 21, San Antonio, and tell them
gather
no.
together.
Yes.
That justice director will have all the authority to move public safety funds away from police, just like it did in 2021, and where they were more overt about it. So come out and join us on Monday, April 21st. April 24th, Monday, April 24th, the first day of early voting at 1:30 p.m. We'll start with prayer and the steps of City Hall, which is on the backside of City Council chambers. And we welcome you to come and join us. Invite your pastor, come out and bring them. We had a rabbi there. We had people from Latter-day Saints there. We had lots of Christian pastors there, and a Catholic priest as well. And so we're asking everybody from the Archdiocese of San Antonio to the evangelical community, every community to come out. We now have to stand together as people of goodwill to do what's right and good for our city. And in this case, it means gathering together and voting against Proposition A, because that's what's good for the individual and good for the community.
I'll end with this, Patrick. One of my elders of the church, a spiritual son of mine, his name is John, Pastor John. He said in our elders meeting today about the power of unity and how we number enough, more than enough. The whole mayoral council, the whole city council got into office with about 60,000 votes the last time around. That's a far cry from the eligible amount of voters, and it's certainly a far cry from the community of faith in the city of San Antonio. But what I said to them this morning, I'll say in closing this session out, passivity is a brutal beast. Passivity is a brutal beast. If you and I sit on the sidelines and do nothing, you know the adage, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Patrick and the Responsible Government Coalition has provided an opportunity for you to do something this coming Monday at 1:30, and I'm appealing to particularly to the men and women of God who care about the culture of our city to band together at 1:30. I've spoken to some pastor friends today, since you and I spoke earlier today, Patrick, and I see that they are responding with vigor to be there at 1:30 on Monday, April 24th, on the steps of City Hall. Patrick, thank you for being with me tonight.
Yep.
And
real quick, you can find out more information at sanantoniofamilyassociation.com/prop, as in proposition.
Yes.
And so there's all the information is listed there. I would be remiss to say, okay, thank you very much. So it'll be sanantoniofamilyassociation.com/prop, as in proposition. sanantoniofamilyassociation.com/prop. You find out all the information there on this, and even some of the technical legal language that we went through with the Texas Supreme Court. And the other thing it does, we didn't talk about, is it condones and promotes drug use.
Yeah, we're
And
not going
that's
to have
never
time to
good
do
for
that. I got
anybody.
to get on
But
to the next
so
section.
it's real. And April
Tell the people
24th.
how they can donate to RGC.
So right now, the best way to do it is go to, because RGC is a coalition of members. If you can go to sanantoniofamilyassociation.com/donate, and when you go donate online, put in there Responsible Government Coalition or RGC, and we'll make sure that it is specifically designated for RGC.
Awesome. One more time. Say it one more time before we go.
sanantoniofamilyassociation.com/donate, and then when you go to donate, put in the field the specific donation for RGC or our Responsible Government Coalition.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you for your time.
Give the people a heads up as
and happy Easter season, everybody.
Being with me tonight. All right, so we have an opportunity, folks, now to make a difference really in the culture of our city. And SABWB likes to link arms with others to see synergism. One shall put 1,000 to flight, it says, but two shall put 10,000 to flight. And we're going to be able to do that together as we work together. I'll be right back to continue this information with you right after this commercial. I'll be right back.
Chris Schuhart would make a great mayor. He's not a politician, he's a businessman. He gave me an opportunity when I had no experience, taught me everything about construction. I now have my own business thanks to Chris. He's a good, honest family man. He's a great businessman. Chris Schuhart would make a great mayor.
Well, as you can see, things are continuing to move forward in our city as they need to. I want to enjoin you now to listen to a couple of other pastoral champions, both in the city of San Antonio and around the country, of what they are saying, about Proposition A. Let's see if I can get here right quick. Yes. Yes. They're not videos. I'm going to be reading something to you in just a minute. Here it is right here. This actually came from Pastor John Hagee. He gave me permission to read it on air. Now, this is what Pastor Hagee and the tens of thousands of folks at Cornerstone Church are perceiving and doing as it relates to Proposition A. Listen to this. How many of you have seen the anarchy that has taken over cities like San Francisco and Chicago? Criminals run around with impunity. Why? They know they won't be punished. Crimes that were once punishable now face mere citations. The result, stores are closing. You know, Walmart's closing 259 stores, and most of those stores that they're closing are in the areas where the Walmart execs feel like, because of ordinances like this that are being passed in cities around the country, that their stores are going to be ransacked. So rather than lose all of that money to thievery, as Patrick just pointed out, violation of the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not steal. I think that's number 8. There is a responsibility that they have. They know we're putting ourselves in an awkward position here. So Pastor Hagee goes on to say, as a result, stores are closing because massive shoplifting is permitted without punishment, forcing stores into bankruptcy. Downtown areas are ghost towns due to rampant drug use, homelessness, and violent crime. You and I are seeing that population grow in the city of San Antonio. They're growing for a reason, people. They're growing because city government is willing to put into place policies that allow that to go on without any kind of boundaries, healthy boundaries being set around that kind of activity and even around its placement. The cities are being systematically destroyed by rampant anarchy. Listen up, San Antonio, Pastor Hagee says. It could happen here. San Antonio could become exactly like San Francisco. Proposition A, if Proposition A passes in the forthcoming election. Remember, early voting starts on Monday, the 24th. Final day of voting is May 6th. No responsible citizen should vote for Prop A. I'll continue. Under Proposition A, a person can steal $750 worth of product from a store without penalty. This policy is in San Antonio and Portland and has caused businesses to go broke and leave town. Proposition A creates a social justice director who is in complete charge of the police. This social justice director is not required to have any law enforcement expertise. This will be an attack and a total control of every policeman in San Antonio. 3, Proposition A will allow a person to deface your property, meaning your home, your business, or your church, for up to $2,500 per person. They can come to your house, spray it up, do whatever they want, $2,500 or less per person. So if I rolled in with 9 of my friends, with a porous border that has been open to millions, no hyperbole, and millions coming over the border, not just from Mexico, 131 other nations identified, coming into the country, not all of them having goodwill for you or for your property. San Antonio's city government now wants to put in a proposition that will allow them to do $2,500 worth of damage to your property without any punishment coming to them as a result of it. You can read this whole thing. You go to infusesa.org. There on their website is the entirety of this proposition. As Patrick just said, 431 words of it, pointing these things out, and they're trying to get you. They're counting on you being passive. They're counting on you doing nothing. Or they're counting on you doing so little that they can cheat and lie and still get what they want passed. Yes, that's what they're counting on. And my plea to you, San Antonio, my plea to you in the name of Jesus, if you are a people who care about the culture of the city where your children and your grandchildren have to grow up, you won't let this happen in the city of San Antonio. Before I finish Pastor Hagee's, the rest of his points, I'm going to finish them. I want to go to commercial. And when we come back from commercial, I'm going to pick up right where I left off and finish the rest of what Pastor Hagee has to say, along with some other pastors in our city who are also speaking out. If you join that press conference on Monday, I'll be right back right after this commercial.
I think Chris Schuhart will make a great mayor. Working for him has been an amazing experience. He's a great leader, and he produces leaders. He's a wonderful person in the way he handles things with finesse. Any type of problem, there's never a moment where we feel like we're out of control. He's a great businessman and more of a friend than a boss. I think Chris Schuhart will make a great mayor. Chris Schuhart is a leader that San Antonio needs.
So $2,500 worth of damage without being charged for those damages. Can you imagine that? Who's going to pay for it? $2,500 per person. They can roll up on my property do $2,500 per person in damage, and I'm left with the responsibility to pay for it. Not them, me. My home, my church, my property. Folks, it's evil. This is evil. And the only thing required for evil to triumph is you stay home and not vote. Number 4, this proposition will also decriminalize marijuana offenses, which will guarantee an increase in drug-related crimes. Takes away, no, that's just a pound. That's a lot of marijuana. It's just a kilo. No, just don't sell it. Use all you want. Smoke all you want. Marijuana is an intro drug. Those who are involved in those who are recovering from substance abuse will tell you and will validate that in a person's life and in a community, the entry-level drug is usually marijuana. And it goes on to other types of harder drugs from there, and people start doing whatever they need to do to get it. Habits begin to form, stealing. But your sitting city council worked to put this on the ballot and worked to help get signatures. Oh boy. Here's number 5. The proposition is being marketed as an effort to decriminalize abortion. But don't be fooled. The state makes the laws about abortion, not the city council. Again, they're trying to do something that they don't have any authority to do. This is just a trick to get people, Pastor Hagee goes on to say, to vote in favor of the proposition, but in reality would be merely symbolic and unenforceable under Texas state law. They put something on the ballot that they think will win you to vote for it. And they have no ability to back it up, any of those things, because they violate state law. Number 6, that was number 5. Number 6, Proposition A is nothing more than a criminals go free bill. San Antonio did not defund the police, so instead this proposition would be tie the hands of police and give criminals the ability to control this city and to destroy its economy. Wake up, San Antonio. This bill is designed to undermine democracy and to ensure chaos and anarchy. Protect your businesses, protect our city, support law enforcement, and do not allow our city to become the next victim of the anarchist agenda. Early voting begins Monday the 24th. Before you go vote, join us at 1:30 on the steps of City Hall. Send the message incredibly clear to everyone in City Council and all of those who are saying yes, and as Patrick pointed out, which included our mayor, until he saw that this Prop A was getting momentum, he decided to get on the side of Prop A. Early voting begins April 24th. Election day is May 6th. Call your friends, your church members, relatives, and vote no, Pastor Hagee says, on Proposition A on April 24th, any day of early voting, and on May 6th. The future of San Antonio is in your hands. Having completed Pastor Hagee's direct and clear, just as clarion as he is on subjects, he is as clarion on this subject about motivating you, the citizens of San Antonio, to go vote no on Prop A. There are other pastors who has also chimed in and are urging you, San Antonio, urging you, don't sit on the sideline this time. Go out in mass, vote against Prop A. Go out in mass. Make it so overwhelmingly clear that they can't cheat. It can't be just some of us. It has to be the whole lot of us flooding the polls and flooding uh, the exercising our right to vote and making it clear that we don't want any such thing in the city of San Antonio. Some other pastors are chiming in, some great leaders in our city. I'm going to read their statements when we come back from commercial. Stay with us and I'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Kathy Carizales, and I'm here to invite you to the I Pray experience here in person at 8023 Vantage Drive, Suite 313, or watch us on Facebook Live at SABWBTX. We are excited to pray for the needs of the city or our government, and we hope that you can join us, like I said, online or in person. It is the Lord's desire that we would spend time with Him and get His job done on earth. God bless you, and I hope to see you.
We know that activity alone, in fact, an activity that is not inspired, not led, not bathed in prayer, and not approved by the Spirit of God, is what the Bible defines as dead works. So we don't want to be involved in dead works. We want to be involved in life-giving, impactful things. That's why every Friday we meet here in the offices at 8023 Vantage Drive for the I Pray experience. You have an open invitation to come join us at this table as we pray. And we're not just patty cake praying, we're going after it, because we believe that the power of God is released through the watchers and the holy ones that declare the purposes of God. Here's a dear friend and a man who inspires me in many ways. I fondly refer to him as Batman because he carries such a grace for Gotham, for San Antonio. And the grace of God is upon his life. I'm just so inspired by Pastor Eli Bonilla at Vida Abundante, actually two locations, one on South Presa and the other off of Grissom Road near Calabria. Here's what Pastor Eli Bonilla said. Our city is a peaceful city full of law-abiding and decent citizens, both native and immigrants. A recent attempt to undermine these values by a few individuals bent on destroying our institutions, including our peace officers and those who keep us safe, is embedded, as you've seen, in Proposition A. Please vote no on this proposition that will lead our city into chaos like many other cities that have adopted these measures and put in danger our most precious treasure, our families. Folks, you're hearing leader after leader say what they know to be destructive. Now, don't you have to ask yourself, city council is not dumb. These people are not dumb. They are bright, strategic thinking, articulate, erudite, scholarly. Why? What's the win here? It's certainly not for businesses. The win is not for businesses. You can take $750 of their material and only get a citation. You can roll in there with a gang of them and clean them out. You can do $2,500 worth of damage to property. No, and you don't have to pay for it. Where is the win here? When you are soft as a society, and we're soft against lawbreakers, the scripture says that the law is not for a righteous man, but for the unrighteous. The law is in place to stem the ill effect of unrighteousness. This policy, this proposition, seeks to remove those restraints. I want to go to a couple of other places with you that help you see what this proposition does. I've asked some of these leaders earlier today to send me some things, and I know they did. I'm trying to get to them right now on my phone. I know that that Nino Gonzalez with the Church Ambassador Network sent a similar statement chiming in on the fact that and urging you as San Antonio citizens to vote no on Proposition A because it destroys the fabric and the network of our city and invites destructive elements to abide in the city of San Antonio. This is another pastoral leader in our city who is employing you to vote no. I don't know why we sit around and do nothing. Particularly as spiritual leaders. And that's not all of you. I believe that there will be scores of us. I really do believe there will be scores of us on the steps of City Hall on Monday at 1:30. I pray that those same scores of leaders will take the position to vote, tell their folks to vote no. I have a couple of signs that I urge you to put up during the voting period. Our producer has one very clear sign telling you to vote no on Proposition A. She'll put that on the screen here shortly to encourage you. Put this sign in your yard. I have one in my yard. To vote no or vote against Proposition A. To vote against Proposition A. You'll see that graphic on the screen in a moment. And in a little while, I'm going to show you one other one that will encourage you to put another sign in your yard that urges your neighbors to go vote. I mean, it's dismal. It's dismal. When Julian Castro was our mayor, he and the people that were a part of his administration got into office with a total of 6.7% of eligible voters voting. Yes, can you believe it? That means that 93.3 stayed home. 93.3, over 9 out of every 10 eligible people to vote stayed home. And of that 6.7%, he only needed to win 3.4% of that. He did, 3.36. So a little more than 3 1/3% of the eligible voters in the city of San Antonio decided who the leaders were going to be. That's right. There's over 600,000 eligible voters here in the city of San Antonio. 3.3% of them put a leadership regime in place that wreaked havoc on our city. We doubled that with Ivy Taylor. It's a good woman, a godly woman. We doubled that percentage to about 14%, and she won the mayorship. I think she could have served some other terms had she made some clear decisions. Now we're at a place where we're dealing with another regime. Put that sign in your yard. That sign you just saw on the screen, vote against Prop A. Put that sign in your yard. If you want to know how to get a sign to put in your yard, call us here at 1-210-866-4409. 1-210-866-4409. I'm going to show you another yard sign that you can. This is not time to be passive. Too much is happening in the world. Too much for you not to have a voice in shaping the culture of your city. I want to take it to commercial. Oh my goodness. No, I don't. It's 9:03. Let me go to this last commercial and come back, and then we'll close up.
I think Chris Schuhart will make a great mayor. Working for him has been an amazing experience. He's a great leader, and he produces leaders. He's a wonderful person in the way he handles things with finesse. Any type of problem, there's never a moment where we feel like we're out of control. He's a great businessman and more of a friend than a boss. I think Chris Schuhart will make a great mayor. Chris Schuhart is a leader that San Antonio needs.
So this one right here needs to be sitting proudly in your yard. This one right here, vote local. You're encouraging your neighbors in San Antonio to go vote. Vote in the local election, because the turnout normally is so appalling that few people who can activate a very small, relatively small base can shape the culture that you decide to, and decide what the culture is like that you're going to live in. Vote local. You can get that right here. You can get this sign right here at the SABWB office. You can also get it at Faith Outreach Center International. Just let us know you want one, and we'll put one in your hand. You drive it down in your yard between now and May the 6th. When May the 6th is done, we pray that your activism will have helped shape the culture of the city of San Antonio. That's the first sign, vote against Prop A. And then the second sign is the vote local sign. Put both in your front yard. Let people know you're not passive. You're not bitten by that vicious beast called passivity. You're actually going to do something. Lastly, I want to appeal to our People's Movement folks. You'll be getting a letter from me either today or tomorrow, an email, not today, you'll be getting it tomorrow, an email from me encouraging you to be those in San Antonio that put these signs in your yards, and how you can get them. So People's Movement folks, that's over 100 of you. We need you active. We need you active, that you're not taken captive by the beast called passivity. All right, thank you for being with me tonight. You've gotten a lot of info. There's a lot of things coming your way, but it's just a season. That's where we are. You can't, changing the culture is not a lazy man's pursuit. Changing the culture takes action and activity. So you have your vote local sign, and you have your vote against Prop A sign in your yard, and then you exercise the right to go vote and vote Prop A down, vote against it. All right, thank you so much for being with us tonight on Transcendent. We will see you right here next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for another broadcast where we take the conversation beyond its normal boundaries and move our city toward a culture that is conducive for life and for family, as we enjoy one another and as we grow together in Jesus' name. All right, love y'all big. See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye now.